It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
The New York Knicks head coach vacancy has been a hot topic recently, and Tom Thibodeau has came out on top against the likes of Jason Kidd and Kenny Atkinson. Thibodeau's track record isn't the easiest to navigate, considering how competitive the Bulls were in the early 2010s, but also his less glamorous stint in Minnesota. Based on his past coaching jobs, let's check out how Thibodeau could impact his young Knicks team, desperate for signs of improvements. As a defensive guru, known for his revolutionizing ice defensive scheme, we have to start on the defensive end. During his Bulls day, he had Noah as a cerebral defensive anchor to deploy the scheme. This didn't work out too well in Minnesota, with a lackluster defender in Towns. During this time, he got criticized for not evolving his schemes during the years where switching became popular. This year, the top three defensive teams focused on sagging their bigs and protecting the paint, which is right up Thibodeau's alley. Add on a rim-protecting monster in Mitchell Robinson, you start to see the formation of a successful ice defensive scheme. Robinson has been better with his defensive reads and fouling less, while still maintaining his elite block numbers. He's holding opponents to 59% shooting in the restricted area, around 7% lower than league average. In semi-transition, Robinson forces the kick out on the drive. When the Grizzlies try to get it to JV in the post, Robinson calls out for the pre-switch to avoid the mismatch. Then he forces the fade away by JV to go short. Being on the weak side, he gets in position early to help. This allows Robinson to recover on the kick out. He stays in front of Wood, shows his hands, and contests without fouling. When JV catches it at the elbow, Robinson steps towards the cutter in case of a handoff. Once JV shows the ball, he gets back in position to prevent the drive. On the second handoff, Robinson sinks to contain the drive and the roll. Knox slips, and they give up the open three, but Robinson did his job. He's sagging off the pin down again, and forced the kick out on the drive. Last year, Robinson would have sprint towards Bamba to try and get a block. He does a late contest to prevent the drive, and only goes for the contest when Bamba is in the shooting motion. He's at the right place at the right time, and making the smart play by taking the charge. Thibodeau would get his defenders to go over the screens, while Robinson sags back to contain the pick and roll. With Robinson's improving awareness and IQ, it's easy to envision him in Noah's place. He would shadow mismatches, then get in position to help on penetration. When he recovers to his man, his shot blocking is a lot more prolific than Noah's. This isn't anything new. They prevent a three, block off the lane, and contest a mid-range jumper. Robinson is a much more intimidating defender than Towns. Any player who challenges him at the rim, he'll send that shot packing. Everyone's wanted Robinson to play more, and that won't be an issue with Thibodeau, who's known to play his players heavy minutes. But he's not going to eliminate Robinson's foul-prone tendency within a few months. What he can do is build a solid foundation on defense. The Knicks' defense has been pretty bad, and that's due to a mix of schemes and awareness. The Knicks usually sag their bigs, but sometimes switch everything, and this inconsistency gets players confused and they're forced to foul. In terms of awareness, we've covered Robinson's improvement as the helper, but the main issue is helping the helper. Robinson leaves Bamba to contain the drive. Portis should rotate over to cover Bamba, but for some reason, he thinks he needs to stop the driver. This leaves Bamba open for the basket. The Hawks run a double screen. Gibson and Payton are containing well. When Dedmon cuts to the rim, Randle had no intention on rotating at all, giving up the easy dunk. The Knicks are icing the pick and roll. Although they contained the ball handler, Horford was open on the pop. Randle didn't think about jabbing at Horford at all in order to buy time for Robinson to recover, and they give up the three. Although Thibodeau's ice defense is known for sagging their bigs, it worked in Chicago because the defense moves like a string. They get into ice coverage in the sideline pick and roll. Boozer rotates over to buy time for Noah to recover. Deng rotates down to cover for Boozer's man as well, and they force the turnover. Here's ice again. Check out how Gibson is ready to rotate to help on the roller, and Butler is ready to cover for Gibson. On the drive, Butler took the liberty of rotating, so Gibson stays home instead, then Butler finishes off with a full effort contest. This is exactly what the Bucks are doing by packing the paint and contesting threes after. While the Knicks don't have a Giannis, this strategy continues to be effective in building a respectable defense. Things get a little less clear on the other end of the floor, since this largely depends on the roster construction. Thibodeau has been criticized for not keeping up with the pace and space era, but actually, he's just playing to his players' strengths. None of his stars ever had a 3-point shot as their primary attack. Towns is an elite shooter, combining efficiency and volume this year, but it wasn't like Thibs was stopping him from taking threes. RJ Barrett isn't having the most efficient season, and a lot of that is due to spacing issues, which we'll get to later. One area Barrett has done well is working in the post. His average burst and shake prevented him from getting past his defender, but all this changes when he's starting from the mid-post area. Thibodeau has been no stranger to getting the ball to the stars in the post, and let them go to work. So get ready to see more post touches for Barrett next season. The Knicks guards should be celebrating this coach hiring, since Thibodeau has a pretty good track record of developing guards. While I can see Ntilikina moving to an off-ball role even more as a secondary creator, his defense will get him plenty of opportunities under a defensive-minded coach. Josh Okogie is a prime example. Thibodeau runs plenty of ball screens and handoffs for his guards, and DSJ would benefit from this. DSJ is a slashing guard, a similar mode to D Rose. Assuming he continues to come off the bench, DSJ will have full reins over their offense with their bench unit. Thibodeau also brought the best out of the guards who could shoot, like DJ Augustin, Nate Robinson, and Aaron Brooks. This makes signing Fred VanVleet even more intriguing. A smart defender who could space the floor off the ball, and with his improvements as a scorer this season, it's not hard to envision him knocking down these shots off ball screens. The same could be said for some draft prospects like LaMelo Ball and Cole Anthony, who both have quick triggers coming off handoffs and screens. If Robinson could stay on the floor, he could be key to improving their offense as well. Thibodeau loves to put at least one big out on top to initiate the offense. While Robinson isn't the passer that Noah or Cat is, his screens and handoffs could make a difference. Bigs will sag off him due to his lack of range, so any handoffs involving him would generate good looks from deep. Now imagine if the Knicks get a good shooter, or Ellington and Bullock bounces back from a poor season. This play could be lethal. Now let's say they do the dumb thing of not getting shooters and signing 4 more power forwards. Robinson's lob threat could be the answer. For those who've seen my video on the Lakers offense, you'll know what I'm talking about. In short, all defenses try to zone up 2 players during pick and rolls. Jones is trying to stay within striking distance of Robinson, but also able to recover to his man spotting up. Brooks does the same thing by jabbing at Barrett with the intention of recovering to his man. What the defense can't zone up is the vertical space up here. This would have been a prime time to lob it up, but Barrett gets baited and turns it over. Literally the next play, Robinson rolls after screen. JV is containing the ball while staying within reach of Robinson. In order to stop the lob, Crowder would have to sink much deeper but give up a wide open corner 3, which no defense would ever do, and they give up the alley-oop. Let's say even if a guard sinks lower as an attempt to stop the lob, what could the 6'1" McConnell do to outreach the athletic 7-footer? All this is based on Thibodeau's track record, and it's possible that he picked up a few things during his layoff. With all the criticism about Thibodeau, it's actually not a big deal as it seems. I would prefer hiring Kenny Atkinson as well, because of his modern offense and the culture he built in Brooklyn. The Knicks' young core would benefit from more spacing, but their skill sets aren't suited for what Atkinson did in Brooklyn. Knox and Barrett aren't good creators, at least not yet, and they aren't knockdown shooters either. The main criticisms of Thibodeau is playing his players too much, clashes with front office, and wanting control over what happens on the court. Well, at least now all the young players would get plenty of run with Thibodeau at the helm. Thibodeau also has a good relationship with Leon Rose, so he would have some influence in terms of personnel moves, instead of the dual role he had in Minnesota. Don't forget how Thibodeau pushed for getting Draymond Green over Marquise Teague in the 2012 NBA draft. Lastly, for such a young team, some rigidity on both ends of the floor could be the foundation the Knicks need to build off of. I think of this hiring as the Mark Jackson of the Warriors, before Steve Kerr took over. What Jackson did for the Warriors often gets overlooked, but he was responsible for turning a bad team into a good one. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like down below and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.